Hello there again, folks. Now, science in 2021 is pretty much like most things. It must reinforce narratives that have been spun to further the paradigm that currently manifests the interests of the global financial cartels and oligarchs that are the key movers of the current order. While most see soft social science as the preview of blatant propaganda meant to reinforce whatever key talking point arises from time to time, most people fail to recognize that the hard sciences are equally politicized in the current year. In that funding will not be doled out to projects whose findings could offend or upset the new and growing ranks of the professionally offended. Research that comes to problematic conclusions is either memory hold or refuted by any means necessary, and it's refuted by other social scientists until it fits the correct political paradigm of the current year. A good example of this is Harvard professor Robert Putnam and the conclusions that his research came to, and that being that multicultural societies breed distrust and weaken social cohesion. And these are obviously findings that do not comport with a society that cannot actually speak truth for fear of being cancelled. Social science in the current year must adhere to the cultural paradigm being disseminated from the top down. And what do you know? Now even hard sciences like math are being called racist, and that this racism manifests itself in the focus on finding the right answer. And no, I'm not kidding. And absolutely nowhere is science more convoluted than when it comes to us, when it comes to humans, and the differences between human groups and or our origins as a species. And it is on that, our origins as a species, not on the more socially loaded question about human groups that are taboo, that cannot be even discussed in the current climate of censorship, cancel culture, and the shrieking of the aforementioned professionally offended class, that we will be exploring. That being, again, the origins of us as a species. And we will be doing so in a way that challenges conventional understanding of evolution and how it relates to Homo sapiens. Hi everyone, just to let you know, I have some old favorites as well as new t-shirt designs on sale right now. Link to find them is in the description, and would like to thank you in advance, as it really does help the channel, as for years now, content like this has been put into an algorithmic black hole, as well as being demonetized. So thanks again, as well as I'm pretty sure you'll find something you will like. Now, this video has to, for the sake of brevity, discuss a few things, including chromosomes and DNA, for the conclusions of it to make any sense. Please stick with it till the end, as each part of this presentation builds on the last, in order to make the sum of its parts make sense. Thanks in advance very much for watching this, and if you pay attention, you might find this video particularly fascinating. So, science and the scientific method, before, that is, the current era of extreme emotionalism and the need for science to buttress the convoluted narrative that society in the Western world has spun for itself over the past decade or so, was about constructing a hypothesis and testing it, which basically boils denier. I'll say that again, in a sense. Absolutely nowhere is science more convoluted than when it comes to us, when it comes to humans and the differences between human groups and or our origins as a species. And it is on that, our origins as case in point, probably you haven't heard of a set of 8 million-year-old teeth, both the upper and lower jaw, of an ancient European ape that was found by researchers, and that their conclusions suggest that humanity's forebears may have arisen in Europe before migrating to Africa. I'll say that again, that humanity's forebears may have arisen in Europe before migrating to Africa, potentially upending a scientific consensus that has stood since Darwin's day. And because this new set of information based in the fossil record doesn't comport with the current political narrative, it's all but been ignored by the controlled media. And even publications like The New Scientist, even though in their own pages say that the analysis of the fossils supports a conclusion that it was out of Europe rather than out of Africa as being the genesis of our species. But it must say that it calls these findings, quote, a controversial idea, closed quote. Well, why is it controversial? Because it doesn't support the current narrative being played out in the Western world. It also suggests to the layman that a lot of what we take for granted with regards to science is not based in immutable truths, but on theories that can and should change once new evidence presents itself. But we do not live in such a world. We live in a highly politicized one where evidence presents itself. But we do not live in such a world. We live in a highly politicized one where evidence presents itself. We live in a highly politicized one where evidence.
Am I stuck in a loop? Am I stuck in a loop? Am I stuck in a loop?
Truth and the scientific method take a back seat to the science worshiper method, or the I love science, a method that is meant to not only, as said, reinforce existing political and social narratives, but also discard any information that might challenge the current social and cultural paradigms being promulgated.
Good. I figured it out. 24th chromosome. Where did it come from?
And To that, and to the point of this presentation, first, it is not meant to challenge the Darwinian theory of evolution. I think in many ways it does hold up, but in several key instances, and this is related to our species, it's not capable of explaining everything, and there are significant holes that are generally glossed over and ignored for the sake of scientific orthodoxy. So, to put it succinctly, and we will work backwards from this statement, evolution does not explain the human animal, nor the fact that humans have 23 sets of chromosomes. And without any other plausible explanation, and using Occam's razor, and that is the simplest explanation is usually the right one, we, Homo sapiens, did not evolve into our current form, but we were genetically engineered to this form as a species. Now, that is a big statement, so let me explain. And I will be doing so by quoting Lloyd Pye's book, The Intervention Theory, a book that I read a few years back, and one that will make you question many of the fundamental theories that are often taken for proven fact. And this idea of theories as being settled science is a common theme in the modern world that is marinated in the science worshiper method. So, to put this into perspective, all higher primates carry 24 chromosomes for each parent, for a total of 48 in the cells of each individual. Humans, however, carry 23 from each parent for a total of 46. So how could humans lose 2 entire chromosomes and still become vastly superior? And that's obviously a loaded statement, but think of language, art, space travel. And before I try to answer that, let's recall that despite losing 2 full chromosomes from our genome, it has stayed 97% the same as in chimps and 95% the same as in gorillas. How is this mathematically possible? Well, it isn't, because we didn't actually lose them. The second and third chromosomes in higher primates are, in humans, fused together. And this fused together chromosome is the number 2 chromosome in humans. This is an enormous and critical difference. So how could such an oddity have occurred? Well, mainstream scientists insist that nature is fully capable of creating such a fusion by means of a mutation called a Robertsonian translocation, which can combine chromosomes end to end to somehow make them function. Well, in a radically new configuration, it might be added. They further insist this profound mutated higher primate individual could then somehow grow from a single mutated cell with normal cell division all the way to birth and then onward to reach puberty. After that, they presume it finds an unaffected mate and reproduces, thereby inserting the new fused chromosome into the higher primate gene pool as a radical mutation that will gradually disperse. In the real world of humans and higher primates, a human higher primate sperm-egg combination cannot and never will work. No human has ever mated with a higher primate to produce viable offspring. The truth is that the only way such a massive change could occur among the higher primate and then be successfully passed on to create a new line, if you will, is if the Robertsonian translocation happened in exactly the same way to 2 different individuals, a male and a female, at virtually the exact same time. In addition, those 2 individuals had to live in the same general geographic area. They both had to survive to breeding age. Then they both had to find each other without knowing they carried a game-changing mutation, and then mate to have offspring that could propagate the mutation. Once the offspring were born, they must live long enough to find similarly mutated mates, which at first means to mate with mutated siblings. Now, in order for the mainstream scientific consensus to maintain their genetic model of human evolution, they must convince us, the public, that the particular Robertsonian translocation that we humans have, the 23 chromosome mutation that we have, was not fatal to the first individual that initiated it. And this is why they avoid discussing these issues in open forums. Now, it's very important that you understand telomeres. So the second and third chromosomes in higher primates are fused together in humans at the telomeres. And the telomeres are caps at the end of each strand of DNA that protect our chromosomes, kind of like plastic tips at the end of shoelaces. Without the coating, shoelaces become frayed until they can no longer do their job. Just as without telomeres, DNA strands become damaged and our cells can't do their job. Telomeres are the caps found at the end of chromosomes that generally reduce after each cell division. When all of the telomeres have dropped off, chromosomes stop replicating and the organism they support will die from old age. Centomeres are segments of DNA usually located near a chromosome's middle, and they are critical to successful cell division, which is the continual process of life that has to happen correctly each time, every time, or things can go haywire within an organism. Now, what would happen if a pair of chromosomes fused in a way the two primate chromosomes did to create the missing one in humans? Well, the fusion puts the two central telomeres into the middle, where the centomeres should be, and the new chromosome has a pair of centomeres when it should have only one, and that one should be where the telomeres are. This is a serious problem because telomeres perform a stopping function that is entirely inappropriate in the middle of a chromosome that is supposed to be fully functional. Even worse, the centomeres are only useful in cell division. So when that occurs, there will be not one, but two places where it's happening, which will soon lead to a tangled mess. Clearly, mainstream science needs multiple miracles to make this scenario plausible. And guess what? The exact array of miracles required has been found within human chromosome number 2. Okay, listen to this part carefully. Traces of 2 higher primate telomeres are found in human chromosome number 2. Those telomeres are in fact, however, deactivated in a way that doesn't stop the chromosome's natural functioning. With the fused chromosomes, only the middle 2 telomeres are deactivated. The one at the top end and the one on the other end, and they are not altered, so their crucial role in cell division will continue unhindered. How coincidental. As for leaving 2 centomeres where only one can function in the center of the chromosome, guess what? One of those also seems to be deactivated so that normal cell division can proceed successfully. Now, this is a very profound implication because what it means is that 2 simultaneous edits are required to make this work. And the probability of this happening is astronomically infinitesimal. Moreover, from a macroevolutionary point of view, it requires billions of simultaneous edits that also match the billions of simultaneous edits in other members of the species that would then eventually mate. And here we come to the conclusions of this presentation. And how this editing was accomplished is the real mystery. Using Occam's razor again, it would suggest that genetic engineering is a way that this could be accomplished. That's not to say that this is the only answer, but it is, given current understanding, it is one that is suggestible. While there are other organisms, rodents for example, that have fused chromosomes, since human chromosome number 2, the anomaly of it, that is, was discovered, evolutionary scientists have used chromosome fusion and fragmentation hypotheses in an attempt to link every related species together to prove evolution between species. But as far as I understand, they have never proved this as an explanation for the variations. They have no idea how it could actually happen, no idea how the individual would be able to mate with others that didn't have this mutation, and no idea how the mutation is passed on to offspring. Now, this is not to say that I know of the who or the how, but it does suggest that being the fusing of chromosomes in number 2 chromosome, that we didn't evolve from higher primates, but were in fact created as we are. Now, whatever you consider the prime mover to be, interdimensional entities, aliens, or a creator, God, if you will, there are things built into the human animal that defy all attempts at our understanding. Indeed, no matter how hard the Western world seeks to exclude this prime mover from our collective consciousness, his fingerprints are scattered throughout creation, the golden ratio being perhaps the most famous. And the more we learn, we keep on returning to a place that not only points to our limited understanding of life, the universe, and our place in it, but again and again and again to a prime mover. In fact, we're currently living in a time where millions of people are beginning to believe that we are living in a simulation, and billionaires like Elon Musk and others are currently spending millions upon millions, not only on the belief that we are living in a simulation, but they are searching for a way to escape it. Evolution, simulation, creation, prime mover, while all of these are legitimate avenues of inquiry, I think the question that is missed most often is the question of why. Why are we alive? What is this life and what is its meaning? To quote probably my favorite singer, Morrissey, nobody knows what human life is, why we come, why we go. And this is probably a question that will never be solved. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please consider checking out the link tree in the description that has links to all of my social media. I'd very much appreciate it if you would subscribe to me or follow me on some of the other alt tech platforms, especially on BitChute and Odyssey, which will be getting videos and exclusive videos that are not produced for any other platforms. So thanks for watching, and remember to check out those t-shirts. They're pretty cool. And thanks very much in advance for supporting this channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Good DJ when you're streaming. Do we even have viewers? 0. Yeah, 0 viewers. But still, you have to be a good DJ. I give you some spaces. Orange and asshole. Nuance Bro is a package decent. Yeah,
You mentioned me, right? I talked about that.
No.
Oh, did I tell you this, Nuance Bro, about when Kanye
No,
asked
I
who
don't
I
think
was?
so.
Okay. So this is confirmed source too. So, I don't even want to talk about it because of a certain character in the story. But so Paul from Cancel Proof, that guy. So he told me this a while back in like February or March. He said that he was in the hotel room, and I think I told this because Current made a gay joke about it. But he was in a hotel room with Kanye, Nick, and a certain
Were their clothes on?
and
Or?
a certain Ali Alexander. So I got brought up between Paul and Nick, and then Ali Alexander's like, "Oh, who's Trey?" Which is a very dangerous question. I hope he didn't remember who I was, but he asked who it was, and apparently Kanye was in the restroom. And so they're talking. So Nick's rolling his eyes, like, "Oh, he explains who I am." And then Kanye exits the restroom, overhearing some of the conversation, and word for word, what Kanye West says is, "Who is Trey?" And I guess Nick explained who I was to Kanye. So Kanye West knows who I am, and he asked.
How did he explain you?
Just like crazy, like
he said, you could do whatever you
like
want
a crazy,
to this
like
blonde-haired
white
kid.
boy,
Whatever you need.
a quirky
Any
white
orifice.
boy with a little bit of swag, you know.
Did Ali describe your physical features when he was talking about you?
Yeah, no, Ali didn't know who I was. He was asking who I was.
Oh,
too.
you know why he was asking.
Wait,
right?
Ali was there? What?
Yeah, Ali Alexander. Yeah, this was a long time ago. This was like November.
Did
I
you
think.
play great for him? This is a safe space. You want to get something off your chest?
I have never been in. I think I've never been in the same room or anywhere near Ali Alexander in my life.
Has he ever requested photos of you?
Yes, I have never interacted.
That you're
with
aware
him.
of, that you can remember where you were.
Blackout
drunk.
17 or something.
Yeah.
camping.
Dude, I hung out with Lance because I was in DFW last week. I loved it. It's great.
Yeah, you didn't even say hi.
Well, yeah, isn't that?
I should have. Yeah, I was there for 2 days.
You said you met the Ali Jamal kid, so
dude, because that kid's like, it's like community service, you know.
But did you meet him when like Ralph was up there?
No, I would never.
Did you tour his? Did you tour his castle?
No, we went.
Wait,
to, like,
why? Do you and him have like big beef or something?
No, I just don't want to be involved with that guy whatsoever. I don't even think he really knows who I am, which I'm just gonna stick it at that.
Wait, that's Lisa's boy. I mean, she's been on the show. Don't talk.
You have? Oh, jeez. No, I'm just gonna. I'm not even.
Is Lisa asleep?
I think I'm just.
Yeah, Lance sung her to
I
sleep.
didn't know. I'm sorry. I'm kind of falling asleep. Who were you talking about?
Oh, he was talking about your boy Ethan Ralph.
I've never been on Ethan's show.
I could have sworn you.
But you know who else was there?
No, she was saying she was gonna go on, but then she ultimately.
Beardson Beardley was there too.
I decided against it.
I just
tried
like
to book
Beardson.
Sargon of Akkad, but they didn't want Lisa either.
Wait, Trey, he was there when you went?
No, Beardson was there with Ethan Ralph, and I definitely don't like Beardson. He doesn't like me. I think he's like a 5'4", like his life's fucked up, divorced, chain smoking in his house, loser who like is.
The worst part is he's 5'4".
The worst part is he's 5'4". Yeah, I hate short men. Sorry, but Nuance and Current aren't short. They're like average for their race. They're tall actually, if anything. But he's like dysgenic, and it's like it's almost like I almost pity him because it's like sad. But
you got really deep into that. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, he says about me. He says I'm not funny, which is just subjectively not true. So yeah, right.
That's a lie.
No, you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say.
I feel like you wouldn't do well at stand up if you tried.
You're supposed to say.
I actually think I would do great. I've had so many people tell me I should do stand up, and I'm like, damn.
You should try it and see, because a lot of people.
Well, it's like the problem is I do like.
Listen.
My mother told me.
Yeah, go.
My mother told me I could be a doctor, but you wouldn't want me diagnosing you.
Here's the thing: a lot of people that think they're like super funny, and they are in like when they're riffing or they're amongst like their peers or whatever, and new groups of people, when they get on a stage and they actually have to perform material for a crowd, and it's like just them, and it's kind of like a one-way thing. It doesn't work out so well. Like, I think Tim Dillon's hilarious when he's like riffing on his podcast or whatever, but his stand-up, I'm not like the biggest fan of.
That's like Theo Von. Theo Von is like the funniest guy alive, but
that hot guy's funny.
awesome.
No,
I mean,
I'll be
stand-up is
honest with
horrible.
you.
Theo Von's stand-up is horrible, but he's like
I
the
saw Tim
funniest guy
Dillon
on
in
earth.
Jersey and Atlantic City, and I could tell you when he was shitting on Jersey and Atlantic City. I don't know if it was off the cuff or not. The stuff that wasn't canned, like Nuance said, he was fucking hilarious. That was the best part of the show when he was just pointing at people and shitting on them and just shitting on the stain.
The crowd work is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I realized that I don't think he actually thinks someone funny. I think it comes from a place of envy. But that's all right.
Yeah, but you also gotta
I'll pray up for him.
Words matter, and you got to say you're objectively funny, not that you're subjectively not funny.
I said I was objectively funny earlier.
I heard subjectively. My bad.
Okay, yeah, you misheard me.
Listen, you haven't seen
I mean,
him
I'll
in
give
his
you like
prime.
Monolith's hilarious, but it's not because he's like trying to be. It's kind of like
Yeah,
an
but
unintentional,
I
like
funny.
people laughing at, not with sort of thing.
He doesn't know he's being funny. He's just
That's
being
like
laughed at.
Ali Jamal. That's why I hung out with him. Is just he's like we laugh at him.
When was this?
That Ali guy is gonna do something bad one day. I feel like.
Oh no, he's too kind. He's actually
I don't
he
think
has
so.
a really kind soul. The guy has a great heart.
Is he black or Arab? I can't
He's
tell.
he's
Ali
Arab, he's
Jamal.
Pakistani or something. Pakistani.
Wait, but
I'm
Trey,
not
when
gonna
was
lie.
this?
He has like a trench coat killer face.
Even worse.
That's not.
Yeah,
He's
it's not
got,
gonna end well one day.
He's got like no. He isn't. He's a baby, dude.
Okay, but when was this, Trey?
This was the Saturday the 20th of May.
Oh, so like a week ago or something. Like
yeah,
10 days.
I flew in Friday and I flew out. I flew in like Friday at noon. And I flew out Sunday at noon.
Was it just for that?
I also had like my trading guys, like all the guys in my Discord, like we all just met up in Dallas. There was like more of that, which was really cool. No,
Wait, who are we talking about? I keep falling asleep, so I keep getting confused on who you're talking
We're
about.
talking about trade politics.